Hello and welcome to Sports Buzz, DD India's special bulletin on sports that brings you all international sporting updates. I'm Deepika and let's start with the top headlines of the hour. India versus England's fourth test match is currently underway at Ahmedabad and India is leading by a fair margin. Ravichandran Ashwin and Rohit Sharma lost their early wickets to Jack Leach and Ben Stokes, and opener Rohit Sharma also missed out on a half century while Kohli goes out for a duck. PV Sindhu cruises to the quarterfinals of the Swiss Open badminton tournament. Sindhu defeats America's Iris in 2 straight sets. PV Sindhu will now be facing Thailand's Busanen in quarterfinal round. Liverpool loses 5 league games in a row at home for first time as Chelsea climbs into top 4 in the English Premier League, slipping down to 7th place in the table. While Chelsea is recording an upward movement after the arrival of new coach Thomas Tuchel. And starting with the biggest update of now, India versus England match is currently on at Ahmedabad and India is leading with a fair margin. Currently, with a loss of 6 wickets, India have now gained a lead against England on day 2 of the 4th and final test match in Ahmedabad. Rishabh Pant is currently unbeaten and has also registered a half century. He is currently building a steady partnership with Washington Sundar. Whereas Ravichandran Ashwin and Rohit Sharma lost their wickets after the lunch break to Jack Leach and Ben Stokes respectively. Openers Rohit Sharma also missed out on a half century. Meanwhile, Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane were dismissed before lunch by Leach and James Anderson respectively. Stokes also took the crucial wicket of Virat Kohli before the lunch. And England wrapped up the series with a comfortable 6-wicket win in the second 2020 against New Zealand in Wellington in the women's cricket. After being put in, New Zealand were restricted to 123 for a loss of 9 wickets, with Freya Davies taking a career best 423, including top scorer Amy Satterwhite for 49. England recovered from 30 with a loss of 2 in reply, with Tammy Beaumont making a 53-ball 63 in a stand of 83 with Heather Knight. Amy Jones hit the winning runs as England won 16 balls to spare. The victory remains as England extends their winning run in completed T20s to 10 games, a run which started after the 6-wicket defeat in their opening game of the World Cup in March 2020. Their only defeat in the format during that time was of that controversial washed out semi-final against India. And now fans will be allowed at the game after lockdown restrictions were lifted in Wellington. And coming back to the biggest story of India versus England, which is currently underway in Ahmedabad, my colleague Anil Thomas is joining us with more details and a rounded perspective. So, India now leads marginally, but before that, let's take a quick look at the badminton update which is coming up as Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu makes it to the quarterfinals of the Swiss Open badminton competition. Sindhu defeats America's Iris Wong by 21-13 and 21-14 in straight games. PV Sindhu will now be facing Thailand's Busanen in the women's single quarterfinals. While former world number 1 Srikanth notched up a 21-10, 14-21 and 21-14 victory over world number 50 Thomas Rauxel of France, and Jairam eked out a hard-fought 21-18, 17-21 and 21-13 against third-seeded Dane Rasmus Kim in their respective men's singles second round match. And in boxing, Vikas Krishnan Yadav outpunched the 2012 London Olympic Games bronze medalist Vincenzo Mangiapane to progress into the men's 69 kg semi-finals on this third day at Boxam International Tournament in Castellón, Spain. The Commonwealth Games champion Vikas, who's already secured a berth for his third Olympics in Tokyo, got rid of Italian Mangiapane in a 3-2 split decision. Apart from this, 5 more Indian men boxers have registered a victory in their respective quarter-final bout to assure India 6 medals at the 35th edition of the tournament. The 2018 Commonwealth Games bronze medalist Mohammad Hassamuddin notched up a 5-0 win against Italy's Simon Spada in the 57 kg, while Manish Kaushik managed a 4-1 win against Safiuddin Zakir of Kazakhstan. With 10 medals already being confirmed, India's 4 women and 6 men pugilists will look to seal themselves a place in the gold medal match as they will play their semi-finals late in the night on Friday. In the women's category, Olympic bronze medalist Mary Kom, Jasmine and Simranjeet Kaur along with Pooja Rani will be seen in action. And we have our colleague Anil Thomas joining us with a rounded perspective on the ongoing India versus England match. Anil, a very good evening to you. And India is now leading marginally, which looks like a good sign. So, what do you think is a good lead for India to have on this pitch?
I think it's a great performance really in terms of the way Indian batters, especially this particular combination of Rishabh Pant and Washington Sundar have gone about. This is full marks to them. 103-run partnership for the 7th wicket. They have blown England away. You go back and see at that point of time when India had lost the 6th wicket at roughly around 146 odd, and we were staring down the barrel at that point of time, looking at a possibility of conceding a lead. Now taking a lead of 44 runs clearly. England are on the mat because this particular wicket is difficult to bat on. You needed somebody to come out and play a cameo there, just like what Rishabh Pant has done. And Washington Sundar, I think, being preferred over Kuldeep Yadav, this was the big reason, because he could come out and be a handy bat. Scoring 38 runs of 87 balls clearly has set the tone, and it has helped the team immensely, especially in this particular match.
Right, but talking about the England side, it seems like England has bowled in the best in their entire series. Your thoughts on this?
Well, England, see, I'll tell you what, this particular wicket, as I mentioned, in our previous chat yesterday, it's a very difficult wicket to bat on. You will have to apply yourself, and if you get yourself in, then you should make it count. I think the English batsmen made a mistake, both Lawrence and as well as Ben Stokes. They got themselves in, didn't make it count. I even feel, for that matter, even Rohit Sharma today, came pretty close to a half century, 49, got out. He should have played big because this particular track is difficult to bat on, and then you need somebody like Rishabh Pant who would come and play a blinder. In the manner in which he's gone about 13 fours, 1 6 in that 93 run unbeaten knock, clearly says that he's come out and tried to play something that's against the tide, because you've just looked at the footing and you're sighting the ball and you're going for your shots. So clearly he's somehow unrattled the Englishman. This particular wicket suddenly looks pretty comfortable to bat on. Mm-hmm. But if India lose 2 wickets quickly of that of Rishabh Pant and Washington Sundar, this particular innings could fold up pretty soon. But clearly England had an initiative, a great opportunity to come back in the test match. But I think the 7th wicket partnership of Washington
and
Sundar
and Virat Kohli was also sent for a duck. What could be the possible reason for that?
See, this you do have your off days in cricket, and I think Virat Kohli had an off day today. But it doesn't make much of a difference. The pedigree and the experience that he brings, purely in terms of when I say pedigree, the amount of cricket that he's played and the amount of service that he's done for Indian cricket in particular. You could have one of your off days, but then what mattered is that the other batsmen came good and they performed to the fullest. And that's what matters. For a captain, he could have an off day, but if his team plays really well and backs him up, he does have something to smile at when he goes in at the end of the day's play today.
Right. But would it be right to say that at this point of time, there is a tussle between good bowling and determined batting? What do you suggest?
Well, it clearly looks like that. If you are ready to hang around there, especially on this track, which is two-faced, it does pay rich dividends. But the English batsmen somewhere let that guard down. They did have two partnerships that came their way, but they didn't make it count. And I think the Indian batsmen clearly not letting that opportunity go. The way in which Washington Sundar is given company there, more than Rishabh Pant's batting, it's Washington Sundar's support that is there. Because if you keep losing wickets at the other end, you can't do much, especially with the lower order batsmen. But Washington Sundar, the manner in which he's gone about yesterday picking up a wicket, and today this 38 crucial runs and that partnership of 104 that is unbeaten. And that's come in quick fire time. It's not taken much of a time. If you see 104 runs coming in 24 overs, a little over 4.5 runs there every over. So clearly they have played against the tide, and
Right.
playing against the tide is always about taking risk. And I think they too have taken a good amount of risk in this particular innings. And India, at the end of the day, when you're looking at 250 runs on the board, with English batsmen putting 205, a lead of 46 on the board, clearly, you would be smiling yourself as you head into, close of play on day 2.
Right. And India is also vouching to secure a spot in the World Test Championship tournament. And what could be the possible things that would be going in the dressing room right now? Because there is a pressure, but then they are performing well. So what do you say, Anil?
Well, it could be a tough choice from here on. If India bat out day 2 and India bat say an hour into day 3, we are looking at a lead of close to 100 or a little over 100, and that makes things difficult for England, because then England would have their backs to the ball. If you are already if you are having a deficit, or if you're having a first innings lead of 100 that needs to be covered, and then put runs on the board with 3 days of action still left. It's an uphill task for England from here on. It will need, Joe Root, Ben Stokes, everybody to come to the party and play really well. And on this track, it's not that simple. It's not that easy to play yourself in. You'll have to be really careful, and you will have to build your innings. But there is enough of time in this particular test match. 3 days of action still left. Lots and lots of cricket to be played. That's 9 sessions of play left in this particular test match. And, England would have a chance, but I think Indian bowlers wouldn't let them get a footing. If you have a first innings lead of, even for that matter, even a lead of 50 runs is enough to put pressure on the English batsmen, because remember, England in the first innings did not bat well, and they lost almost 3 or 4 wickets down before they had 50. I think 3 wickets down before they had 50 runs on board.
Right, and despite going with an extra batsman and having a long tail, do you think Indians, after losing the top order in the initial part that we saw in the day today, will cheaply have to rig it out from here onwards?
Well, I would say, you needed application there on that particular track. Shubman Gill was got out to a brilliant delivery. Virat Kohli was, Virat Kohli. It was a good ball that he played wrong. So I would say that it's a tough call, especially in this kind of test situations. But the other batters played well. Yes, you are right. When it comes to the top order, our top order has not been very impressive in this particular test match, especially in this first innings of the 4th test match. But having said that, you got to give credit to the way batsmen applied themselves. It's not as if when you look at the scoreboard, it wouldn't say that Cheteshwar has got just 17 runs on the board. But what you need to understand is that he's played over 11 overs there in the middle. The same applies to, say, an Ajinkya Rahane, or for that matter, even R. Ashwin. 13 runs coming off just 32 deliveries. So he's hung around there. It's just that you're getting out to either a good delivery, or you're getting out because you have somewhere you're losing your sense of application there in the middle.
So
but full marks to the batters who batted today and who batted well and who got India out of trouble, especially Rohit Sharma, even Ajinkya's 27, Rishabh Pant's 94, and Washington Sundar unbeaten on 46.
So it clearly looks like a game of confidence and dominance as we see Cheteshwar Pujara's performance, and on the other hand, Ben Stokes, who dismissed Virat Kohli 5 times in the Test cricket. What do you suggest? Who's going to be more on the dominant side and looking from here onwards, who looks more confident?
Well, I would say now clearly the cards favor India. India is the host nation. 258 runs on board. Your lead is now over 50, and by the time this particular the amount of overs that are still left in the day, there are roughly around 18 overs left in this particular day. So clearly India would be looking at a lead of a little over 100 on this particular track. And if India tends to, if these two batsmen stay around, that looks very much likely. And if that happens, England could be in a lot of bother, because Rishabh has just got his 100 there, and Rishabh would be looking to go, cut loose from here on, because you've got the runs on board, and you now want to put the English batsmen on pressure, because if you can take their bowlers out of attack, when I say take their bowlers out of attack, is that you put pressure on them, and the captain is forced to go defensive, and it looks very likely that the English captain will be forced to go defensive, because if still 4 wickets to capture, and you have almost all your bowlers except for, I think, Bombess, who's bowled less than 15 overs. Everybody is bowled a little over 12 to 13 overs. That includes the captain. So the pressure is there, and England seems to be somewhere in ifs and buts, because if you're looking at Joe Root to be one of your bowlers to bowl around 13 overs in a match, you're looking you're asking for trouble in a test match, because you went into the test match with an extra batsman, and your batsmen have not delivered. If you've put 205 on board, now it's clawing back into this test match, and that looks very unlikely. And India would be firm favourites for this particular test match.
Definitely. And while we are talking about this, Rishabh Pant has scored his century, marking a 6th just now. What do you think? How is Rishabh Pant coming out as the hero of this India versus England Test match series, or will it be too early to say Rishabh Pant as the game changer?
Well, Rishabh has shown the potential. If you purely look in terms of what he doesn't bring, especially when it comes to his wicket-keeping skills, he compensates that with his batting. 19 Test matches old, having around 1250 odd runs. He's got 206 half centuries. This is the third 100 that he hits. But clearly, he's showing signs of, especially Test cricket needing, those kind of batters to come out. But maybe he gives you that feeling of somebody, you see an Adam Gilchrist for Australia, or even for that matter, Kumar Sangakkara for Sri Lanka. That kind of, not that explosive approach, but that sense of, a sense of calm, especially in the dressing room when he comes out to bat. And that's very important, because, now what happens when, you remember the last test series in Australia too, when he helped India chase down that particular target, clearly setting targets against India becomes a bit difficult in test matches. And Rishabh Pant will have a big role to play, because the manner in which he goes about finishing,
Definitely.
or getting those runs. If you look at Rishabh's inning along with Washington Sundar, and you put the entire test match on another side, you can actually divide the test match into 2 halves. On a wicket that Rishabh and Washington Sundar batted, and on a wicket where the other 15 batsmen batted, or the other 16 batsmen batted. They clearly look poles apart.
Definitely.
So that's the special thing that Rishabh brings to the table, especially on in a test match cricket.
Definitely.
Because the manner in which he goes about clearly says that 117 deliveries for 101 runs, 13 fours, 2 sixes. You clearly have decided to take on the battle, into the opposition camp, and you need some, that kind of. I would say that kind of Braveheart kind of a heart, to come out there and to try to do something against it, right? And it's generally not possible, especially when you, at that point of time, that situation that he walked out to bat, with the Washington Sundar coming out 144 for 6, you exactly didn't know what could be done there. But as we speak, Rishabh Pant is back in the pavilion there, out for 101. So clearly, bad luck there, when we started praising him, he's back in the pavilion. But this test match clearly, the way in which Rishabh has batted along with Washington Sundar clearly has helped India immensely in this particular test match.
Lots more remains to be seen in the match.
Well, lots more, yes, I would surely say so, because you will go with that particular take on this particular test match is not over yet. There could be another twist in the tail on how things stand, but clearly this particular partnership has helped India immensely, because this partnership has helped India in a big way, because it looked like we could be out of this particular test match. And England could
Well, thank you so much, Anil, for joining us and giving us a rounded perspective of the ongoing match. And we will be keeping an eye on the developing updates on India versus England. Right now, we are moving on to the other stories, and starting with the shooting update. The Indian women's trap team of Rajeshwari Kumari, Kirti Gupta and Manisha Keer won the silver at the ISSF Shotgun World Cup in Cairo, Egypt. This is India's second medal in the event after the men's skeet team had won bronze earlier. The 3 women Indian team shot 444 in the qualification rounds, with the informed Manisha Keir shooting a team-high 158. The effort meant that they qualified for the gold medal match between Russia, who shot a team total of 463 in the qualifying rounds at the Egyptian Shooting Club. In the finals, Russia held a 4-0 lead at one point and looked set to counter to the gold medal. However, Manisha Keir, Kirti Gupta and Rajeshwari Kumari launched a remarkable comeback to tie the finals at 4-4. In the last 15-shot per team series though, Russia outshot India to win the finals by 6-4 and take home the gold medal. The Indian men's trap team comprising Olympian Kainan Chennai, Asian Games silver medalist Lakshya Sheran and Prithviraj Tundeman finished in 6th place with a combined score of 469. And in football, Liverpool loses 5 league games in a row at home ground for the first time as Chelsea climbs into the top 4 at the English Premier League. Chelsea's forward player Mason Mount scored a goal in the 42nd minute of the game with a pass from Kante to give his team an edge in the match. In the second half, Liverpool tried to draw the match, but they could not penetrate Chelsea's defence. After this defeat, Liverpool have now slipped to 7th place in the table, while the Chelsea team, which has been performing poorly for some time, is now touching a new peak after the arrival of new coach Thomas Tuchel. Liverpool are in trouble and Jurgen Klopp looks completely out of ideas. By contrast, Thomas Tuchel has reinvigorated this Chelsea machine. Liverpool have become the first English top-flight reigning champions to lose 5 consecutive home league games. Liverpool are at home again on Sunday with struggling Fulham, the visitors. Chelsea will be in action the next day with another top 4 challenger, Everton, the visitors to Stamford Bridge. And in another Premier League match, Everton defeated West Bromwich by a lone goal. The first half ended goalless, but in the 65th minute of the game, Richarlison of Everton scored with a pass from Sigurdsson to put his team ahead in the match. After this, there were no other goals in the match and thus Everton kept the match alive and kept the chances of winning the Premier League. This was Everton's 5th Premier League double against West Brom. Also, Everton have till now won 9 Premier League games this season. And different sports have combined for a next project, a daredevil hybrid event in the snowy landscape of the Jungarine Mountains in Switzerland. The X project was set up to feature windsurfing in powder snow alongside speed riding, snowboarding and snow kiting. After being taken up by the mountain by helicopter, the athletes then used their own particular skills to come down with breathtaking results. For more updates, let's take a look on Sports Wrap.
India won 2 bronze medals on the opening day of Matteo Pellicone Wrestle Room Ranking Series event. Neeraj won the bronze in men's 63 kg Greco-Roman, while Naveen won bronze in men's 130 kg Greco-Roman. 2 top-seeded players have been eliminated in the Qatar Open tennis competition. Victoria Azarenka defeated Elina Svitolina 6-2, 6-4, while Jessica Pegula of the United States defeated Karolina Pliskova of the Czech Republic 6-3, 6-1 in one-sided match. Marcus Willis, who rose to fame with his dream run to the second round at Wimbledon in 2016, announced his retirement on Thursday. In June 2016, Willis was giving tennis lessons at Warwick Boat Club in Great Britain for £30 an hour. The Brit got into Wimbledon pre-qualifying and won his way into the qualifying draw as the number 772 player in the FedEx ATP rankings. Liverpool will play the home leg of the Champions League last 16 tie against RB Leipzig at Puskás Arena in Budapest. The fixture has been moved to the Hungarian capital because of COVID-19 restrictions. The Reds hold a 2-0 lead against the German side from the first leg, which was played on the same venue on 16th of February. The second leg will take place on 10th of March. Glasgow and Dublin are at growing risk of being cut from the list of hosts for this summer's European Championship. With fewer than 100 days until the delayed Euros, UEFA wants each of the countries staging matches to submit their plans by a deadline of 7th of April. Organizers say they still hope to stage matches at the 12 venues as planned. But the Scottish and Irish governments are yet to provide assurances whether fans will be allowed back by June. Adam Hastings will miss Scotland's Six Nations game against Italy and 2 Glasgow Warriors fixtures after his red card against Leinster in the Pro 14. The fly half was charged with a reckless and dangerous challenge on Cian Kelleher during a 40-21 defeat. The incident was found to merit a mid-range entry point, which indicates a 6-week suspension from this offence, a league statement said.
And with this, it's a wrap of this edition of Sports Bulletin, but a lots more coming up on the other side. Stay tuned and thank you for watching.